do we have now as a result of many years of looking for that?
With 25,000 families in our community.
Something concerning the CBOs and the CFS who walk around the
goats or sheep and be able to buy a cow, which is quite important, and
put in the bank to enable them to access loans. And sometimes that narrative is so stellar. And I was coming to table banking because a lot of times most of us go.
We have 300 CFAs in Kenya. All of us will join hands because being a member of a CFA
Africa, and Tekla with her team is just about
appreciated. Otherwise, we are doing a lot of work. The forest and the good of our environment. Madam, let me come back to your question.
In 1 second.
Some of them now are telling girls, go to school and be like Mama. May God play place. We have Chemzuzu Dam, which is the second largest dam in Kenya. And the
about 14 bicycles to the women, to the CFAs in Kakamega. They get the money from the table. And therefore, what I can say is that this has been a phenomenal.
Over the last 18 months, we have dispersed $40 million for restoration in Africa and $110 million for conservation in Africa, which of course is very linked. And today I'm pleased to announce an additional $23 million for restoration in Africa. And that will be specifically targeted to help the amazing work that is going on in the Great Rift Valley here in Kenya and in the... It's your work. That's why we love it so much. And in the Rusuzu Basin, which is in Rwanda, Burundi, and DRC. Now, some people say to us, for heaven's sake, I mean, why are you putting all this money? It sounds so complicated. I mean, restoration is difficult, surely. There are hundreds, there are thousands of implementers all around Africa. How do you keep on top of it? And what I say to them is, meet the people you met today. Meet the people we're going to spend time with tomorrow. Meet the people who are devoting their lives to a vision which is quite extraordinary. Everything that we do in Africa, every dollar we give to organizations led by Africans, and increasingly a huge percentage of that goes to organizations led by women and young people. And women and young people have been the most at risk, those who have suffered the most because of climate change and nature loss, and women are driving the restoration movement together with young people, and Africa is driving the restoration movement in the world as a whole.
Africa is making decisions and acting against this existential threat, and Kenya has found itself at the forefront of the global discourse on climate change. This presents a remarkable opportunity for Africa to actively engage to this critical conversation. As I articulated yesterday, it is essential to acknowledge the indispensable role that women play in adaptation of climate-related measures across all nations. Their sheer numbers and their nurturing influence that spans generations make them pivotal agents of climate change. All they need is available land to do that, accessible and affordable credit. Within the borders of Kenya, we are reminded of an extraordinary individual whose influence transcends national boundaries, the Nobel laureate Wangari Maathai. She imparted with us the wisdom that said, and I quote, "Until you dig a hole, plant a tree, water it and make it survive, you haven't done a thing. You are just talking." And I hope this afternoon we are going to adapt getting a tree, planting it, and talking about climate change. There is no way we are going to have talk shop and have trees growing. And therefore, I do believe it is time that we go and plant. If each one of us was to plant 3 trees, I am sure we will be getting to a place where we can say there is an action on climate change. Consequently, we must harness the potential of the green growth as a means to generate employment opportunities for the youth and ensure prosperity of the future generations. With Africa burgeoning youthful population and the guidance of the esteemed leaders assembled here in this very venue and led by our First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Her Excellency Rachael Ruto, I am confident that we will make significant investment in the green economy.
This is a truly special African moment. The Africa Climate Summit is upon us, but for many of us, 2 realities actually exist at the same time. We're faced with a crisis that is actually running away from us. We are almost unable to keep track of what's happening to us. Climate change, we didn't cause it, can't do much about it, suffering from it. But there is also another narrative that is emerging largely here from His Excellency the President, and that we are really feeling buoyed by. That this is a moment like no other. We are on the cusp of the new era of climate leadership for Africa. Africans seeing an opportunity to lead, because if we don't, who will? And with our potential renewable energy, we are hearing a lot about that, the abundance of renewable energy, the abundance of critical minerals, the fastest and youngest growing workforce in the world, and the largest restoration potential in the world, 700 million hectares. With resources like these, Excellencies, we should actually be facing a different reality, but we are not. And that's why you fight so hard, but both of you fight so hard every day. Because that reality is one we have to change, and we have to change it really fast. And that's why the Climate Summit is a summit whose time has come. And it's a summit which calls really for women's leadership. And that's why this session on women's leadership, championing women's leadership and accelerating finance for women-led land restoration is not only a good idea, it's a smart and economically viable idea.
I'm delighted to be part of this high-level session where we are discussing women economic empowerment and green growth. This subject is close to my heart, as it is not only holds the key to a sustainable future for Africa, but also possesses the power to positively transform the lives of millions. The continent of Africa is at a pivotal point where the actions we take in this decade will profoundly shape the future of life on Earth. Women and youth hold the potential to be major drivers of the transformative future we collectively envision. Africa's rich natural resources and diverse ecosystems offer both unique challenges and extraordinary opportunities for sustainable development. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, green growth is a holistic approach that acknowledges our responsibility to pursue economic prosperity while preserving our environment and ensuring that its benefits are shared equitably with a specific emphasis on women. Implementing green growth initiatives will build and grow the green economy. The continent of Africa has the most unused arable land in the world, requiring sustainable agriculture practices that enhance food security and reduce environmental harm. Rural women in Africa often shoulder the responsibility of securing energy, mainly wood fuel, for their households. Expanding access to clean and affordable energy, such as solar power and clean cooking stoves, not only enhances their lives, but also frees their time to engage in income generating activities. The pivotal question is, what role do women play in the development of green growth? Because herein lies the important aspect of women's economic empowerment. Allow me to give an example of how women can become economically empowered by contributing to green growth. On 21st December 2019, the President of Kenya launched the National Tree Restoration Campaign, through which the government committed to grow 15 billion trees by 2032. My office has committed to contribute to the campaign by growing 500 million trees by 2032. In fact, we have actually progressed, and we have adapted for Kakamega Forest, part of Kakamega Forest in Shikusa, where we have already planted 30,000 trees. This campaign presents a huge opportunity for all to participate. We are urging women, and especially those in groups, to get involved and become part of the value chain. Some of the opportunities that exist as a result of the campaign are the establishment of tree and fruit nurseries so as to supply seeds and seedlings, nurturing the planted trees to ensure a great rate of survival. This will also prevent damage to the trees and curb illegal logging and deforestation. Women can also benefit from nature-based enterprises like beekeeping, black soldier fly farming, among others, to improve their lives and become economically empowered. Women entrepreneurs in Africa have already demonstrated their capacity to propel green growth. They are open to innovative solutions, from renewable energy startups to sustainable agriculture ventures. Encouraging women's participation in green businesses and providing support can unlock remarkable economic potential. Women are vital in Africa's agriculture, promoting sustainable farming practices, providing access to modern techniques, and supporting women farmers can boost food security, reduce land degradation, and increase families' incomes. Access to credit and financial opportunities often hinders women's participation in green growth sectors. Creating opportunities for women to access loans, grants, and investment capital can bridge this gap. Green growth and women's economic empowerment in Africa are not isolated objectives, but intertwined imperatives for sustainable development. By harnessing the talents, skills, and potential of women across the continent, we can propel green economic growth, protect our environment, and ensure a brighter future for all. Urgent action is required by all actors, governments, businesses, civil society, and individuals. Let us unite in our efforts to create a continent where green growth and women's economic empowerment are not mere buzzwords, but the very foundation of a prosperous and sustainable future for everyone. This vision is within our reach, and together we can transform it into reality. Restoring Africa's landscapes and empowering communities, especially women, goes beyond being a moral duty. It's a strategic approach to addressing environmental challenges, enhancing livelihoods, and advancing sustainable development across the continent. Acknowledging the pivotal role of women as leaders and key stakeholders in these endeavors is fundamental to achieving enduring and positive change. I am honored to be part of a restoration platform that champions women leadership and accelerates our efforts towards establishing a robust green economy both here in Kenya and across Africa. I anticipate that the African Climate Summit will pave the way toward COP28 and beyond, fostering greater inclusion of women in restoration initiatives across the continent and providing targeted support to women's organizations and local women groups, ensuring that no one is left behind.